Hey there, planners. Today I'm going to flip through my bullet journal. This is the second half of the year bullet journal, and the way I'm using it has recently started to change. I'm really excited about it, so go grab your planners and let's get planning. 2024 is going to go down as the year I fell back in love with the bullet journal, definitely. I cannot believe how much I have enjoyed using the bullet journal again. And we're talking about like traditional bullet journaling, painting, coloring, drawing in calendars, drawing those little mini calendar, all that stuff. I fell back in love with that this year. It's been amazing. I have really, really enjoyed doing it and sharing it with you. And I wanted to give you an update on how I'm using the bullet journal. I recently posted a video about my little small but mighty A6 notebook and how that has really morphed and changed over the last few months and become kind of a planning powerhouse for me, which means, as I talked about in that video, that things have changed a little bit in my bullet journal. I actually, a couple months ago, did some flip throughs of old planners way back to 2019, 2020, all of that time was flipping through and looking at different planners, and I reminded myself of a way that I was using my bullet journal at that time that I really wanted to get back to. And that's kind of what spurred me to start using this planner in a different way and also using this in a different way. So I'm going to flip through everything that I've done so far. Of course, some things are going to be blurred out because, gosh, you guys don't need to know everything about my life, but I'm sure you're going to get the idea. There'll be plenty to give you, sort of the concept of what's going on in this journal. So I'll have this journal and any supplies I talk about listed down in the description box below if you want to check that out. I will say that this journal has been pretty awesome. This was an Amazon discovery. It is definitely a fantastic journal, very hardy, holds up well. The paper is amazing. I have really enjoyed using this notebook, so I'll have that listed down below. All right, I have my little sticky pocket here, my washi dashboard. I have not used my tabs. That's why they're still sitting here, just like I set them up way back in June. But this is, kind of a functional page for me. I've got 2 more tabs left, November and December, and then I will be done with this notebook, which is really hard to believe that this year is almost over. Okay, I did some inbox. I do use this. I don't use this as often to write things down on this page, but I do come here and get sticky notes to take them somewhere else in the planner. All right, I have not used the index pages. I may come back and use the index page at the end of the journal where I kind of want to highlight where some things are, but probably not. I don't typically use index pages, so this will probably just stay blank. This is my cover page and theme for the second half of the year. I got a whole space thing going on. I had a lot of fun drawing this out. These are little washi stickers. So I'll have a link down to the original setup video if you want to see more about that. I did a year at a glance and holidays. Quite honestly, I have not come back to this page at all, but I very much enjoy setting them up. I feel like a planner is not a planner without a year at a glance with these tiny calendars and a list of holidays. It's just not. So I actually went all the way through mid-year of 2025 with the holidays because this was halfway through the year. I like to have a full year. So I did a very thorough holiday list. All right, I have my future log here, which honestly, when I think about it, this future log is very useful when I am initially setting up the planner. You can see this huge list of things because it helps remind me as I'm setting up the planner, what do I know about at the point of setting up this planner. But I don't really use this spread much after I set it up because I'm using my Google Calendar to keep track of things that are coming up. So it's very handy and functional while I'm setting it up, but after that, I don't really come back to this much. All right, here's just a little family board, sort of vision board, inspiration board. These are all my favorite things, my favorite people in the whole world. And so I love having this here just as partly memory keeping, but partly grounding me in what's important in life. And then, of course, I have my goals. I have my word of the year here across the side, and then I have my 5 goals And then I also put a little bit of notes under each goal about what I wanted to accomplish for the second half of the year for each of these goals. This has been fantastic spread. I come back to this and I actually recreate this spread every month in my monthly setups to continue to drill down and focus on monthly goals to accomplish these goals for the second half of the year. Okay, reoccurring task list. This is a very important one. I come back to this a lot. I actually am not using this specific spread as much as I am using my trigger list, which encompass all of this in my little A6 book, but that's just a signifier of how the use of this bullet journal has changed. So I do have this tabbed. It's very handy to come back to. If you're not sure what I'm talking about when I say reoccurring task, I will have a link to a video down below where you can go check that out. All right, go-to dinners, little air fryer cheat sheets. I obviously thought I would have more of these. I didn't end up using this page, but I do love to have a list of go-to dinners. This is the master grocery list. I do find myself using this quite frequently because I like to come back and see, you know, what are the groceries that I need to buy on a regular basis, but not necessarily in every week. And then I have my video ideas list, homeschool attendance tracker, date night ideas, golf tracker, a to watch and to read list. Obviously, I have not used that here. I have recreated these lists in this notebook and I am using that, but I need to come back and fill this in because I like to maybe keep track of what I read and what I watched this year. I think I may change that in the future so that it's not like I want to read or I want to watch, but what I did read and what I did watch. I think that would be a good place to keep this. But then again, I also keep a reading journal, which I have that list there. So maybe these aren't needed at all. Have to think about that in the future. All right, wish list, gift ideas, cycle tracker with notes. I really haven't kept many notes, so... And I also have not kept up with the cycle tracker. I have 2 months that I need to put in here. Symptom tracker, library books, adulting, log. I have not been using my library book spread. So this is really interesting. There are a lot of spreads that I thought I would use that I really haven't been using as much as I thought I would. So I'll have to keep that in mind. I'm finding this is more of like a day-to-day list book, so interesting. Okay, I have my Not Bummer Summer list, my to watch and to read for the summer, and then I get into July. And this is really where I wanted to focus because this is where I think you can easily see where things morph. So my theme for July, I kept it really simple. This was a sort of 80s throwback neon, maybe 90s, I don't know, 80s or 90s theme, and just sort of geometric patterns and designs. I have my calendar, have meal plan and to-do list, goals. So this is me recreating that goals spread. So I have each one of my goals listed out and then what I want to accomplish in the month that will help me accomplish the overarching goal for the year. Then I go into my weekly spreads, and this is where there's a lot going on here. I am really using this. I've got to-do lists, I've got events, I've got appointments. I'm trying to track the weather here. I've got meal plan. I've got a lot squeezed into these boxes. Okay, here's a week where I stuck a little bit of journaling in here on this center page. I'll probably just keep it up like this. But this is another weekly spread. Another weekly spread here. You can see I'm like tacking on sticky notes in places. I'm just really using these very functionally. All right, and then that brings me to August, which was my jellyfish. I love my jellies. These were so fun. I actually included in the setup of the month of August, at the end of that setup video, I included my watercoloring and how I learned how to watercolor jellyfish. They are so cool. All right, so there's my calendar, meals and to-dos, goals. This is another place where I recreated, so I put the word of the year there, and then each goal has a jelly, and then overarching goal, focus area for the month, and then 2 or 3 actions, 3 or 4 actions for each one. And then I go right into my weeklies. These are my weekly spreads. I'm still really using my weekly spreads quite functionally until I think this week was the last week that I tried to use through the month of August, but this is the week where I was starting to sort of trend towards wanting to do something different, and had some planning. And then this is my September setup, and this is where I still have the calendar. I still have my goals here. I'm still keeping meals, but I left a blank space for memories that I want to come back and write in things that happened, and also include some photos. And then the way I'm using my weekly spread is completely different. So the to-dos and the functional, the appointments, all of that, they have now been moved over to this notebook. And what I'm doing in here is memory keeping, which this is what I rediscovered that I was doing in, 4 or 5 years ago in my bullet journals. I was really using them as a creative outlet that I was memory keeping in. And I absolutely love it. It made these journals, to go back and look at them, like reading the story of our life, because I was able to read through week to week, day to day, what was going on in the world, what was going on in our family's life, what we were experiencing, what we were thinking about talking, what we were not liking, what we were loving, all those things. And it was so awesome to be able to flip back through those old bullet journals and see those stories, the story of our life, while also looking at sort of my creative outlets and different techniques that I was using. So I really wanted to get back to that. And that's what I'm going to be doing in my bullet journal. I'm still going to be doing all the artistic stuff and the creative stuff and the setups, but I'm going to be using these more for memory keeping, while I'm getting down and dirty with planning and to-dos and all of that stuff in this mighty little notebook. I actually got this idea, and I'll just flip. This is a blank week. I haven't actually done anything with this week yet, but you can see I'm going to do the same thing right in the words. I got this concept from Lindsay Scribbles. She's a YouTuber in the planning community here in the YouTube world, and she talks a lot about having some sort of annual record, like an index of the year. One notebook that just sort of holds all of the stuff, for the year. And I really love that concept. And I really want that to be the bullet journal that I pour my creativity into. Some months may be more creative than others, but it's aesthetically pleasing for me to flip through these pages and designs. And I want this to be the place where the record of what happened to me in my life and into my family's life, I want this to be the place where that occurs. These messy little daily, I don't need to know in 5 years that the trash was picked up on Thursday every week for that whole year. Right? I don't need to know that. I do need to know that on a weekly basis to remind myself to take the trash out, right? That's what this is. This is more the story of our lives. So that is the change in the way I am approaching my bullet journal. It makes me love this even more because I know it's going to be that record. And I'm really approaching 2025 and my planner system with this concept in mind. Now, what I don't have figured out is, what does the record, the archive of our lives, the story of our lives, what is that tool? And what is the daily to-dos, get stuff done, productivity, what does that, I don't know what those two tools look like yet, but I know that that is going to be the core and basis of my 2025 planning system. So I hope you enjoyed seeing a flip through of the bullet journal. I would love to hear from you. Are you thinking about your 2025 system? Have you thought about, do you use like an archive or a single record, the story of your life? Do you have that concept somewhere in your planning and journaling tools? If so, I'd love to hear what that is. Or is that not something you're really interested in doing? Or do you think about it completely differently? Let's keep the conversation going down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to Planning Annie for more content like this, and as always, thanks for planning with me.